Welcome to Genius is Your Birthright with transformational life coach Christi Corradi. Throughout this 6-week program, you will have your imagination ignited, your intuition electrified. You will strengthen and expand your memory in a very interesting way, sharpen your reason, and expand your powers of perception to an unprecedented degree. With these tools, you will learn that you have these extraordinary faculties and how to unleash them. Without them, nothing is possible, but with this understanding, everything is possible. In this first lesson, Christi will touch on 3 of these faculties to begin opening your mind to a new awareness. Over the next 5 lessons, we will explore your genius faculties in greater depth. Now let's enjoy Lesson 1 of Genius is Your Birthright.
Hello and welcome. This is Christi Corradi, and this is Genius is Your Birthright, and I'm so excited to share this content, this information with you. I found this to be some of the most powerful information that I've gathered, that I've applied to my life and watched transform my life, so I'm really excited to share this with you. But first, I want to introduce myself to you. Again, my name is Christi Corradi, and I am an art therapist as well as a transformational life coach. And transformational life coach, as opposed to a life coach, is really about moving you from the place that you are and transforming all aspects of what it will take to move you to the next level, the next vibration, the next place that you want to be in your life. And it really is a transformational process. And what I love about this work is so many people come to me and it's like they're the caterpillar in the cocoon. In fact, that's where I started in this deep work with my current mentor and teacher, Mary Morrissey, that I was in a cocoon. I was cocooning. I was wrapped and embraced in a safety place, in a place I didn't know who I was. I didn't know there was a great butterfly inside at the moment. I was almost in that survival mode of just wrapping myself in the nurturing cocoon that I was in. And through this work, and especially this into your genius, and discovering the internal genius that we all have within us has been some of the most powerful awakening information that I have gathered to date. And I'm just very excited to share this with you. You know, I actually grew up with a grandmother that was a very forward thinker, so I was always open to the idea that somehow I could choose how I thought and felt and believed, and that would affect my experience around me. And a lot of times I mainly got that when I was with my grandmother, but I had just an inherent belief that, well, first of all, an inherent belief in myself, and then secondly, that life is just wonderful and that it's a good place and that really everything around me was for the good. And then, of course, as I started growing up and seeing bad things happen and situations take place, and then especially when I got into my middle school and high school years, I really found, I bought into the status quo. I bought into the belief that things happen to me instead of things happening through me. And then as I emerged into this, I always had this sense, I knew, even when that was going on, I just didn't know how to navigate it. I didn't know how to deal with it or to be in it. And so I was always searching. And, in my early 20s, I finally emerged into a place that felt like home, that resonated with what I knew to be true. And one of the things that I found along my journey was I met, her name was Dr. Peggy Bassett at the time, and she really helped me move into a place of empowerment in my life. And then, as empowerment will do, I went off and those great things happened. I went to graduate school and I met the man of my dreams, who now after 24 years I'm still married to. And I moved away from that environment. And actually, before I met my husband, I hit rock bottom once again and had to go back to my teacher, my mentor. And that's one of the things that I've really learned along the way, is having a teacher and a mentor and a program, a tried and true program that really works, has been what has empowered me to create this most amazing life that I love living now. And so that's just a little bit about my story. As I said, I'm an art therapist. I'm a registered art therapist, and I have an art therapy practice in Santa Rosa, California. And I also am a life coach certified by the Life Mastery Institute. And I have been doing this particular work now for a couple of years and just have found that it has brought everything. I'm also an artist, a world traveler, so many things, but this has brought everything together to a place where, in my heart, I get to share what really works with people. And so today I'm here to share with you that genius is your birthright. We have 5 senses, okay, and we grew up knowing that: hearing, taste, feel, sense, sight. What we haven't known is that we actually have 6 faculties that are always at work in our life, and we just kind of take them for granted, and we think that they are just kind of there. But if we learn to hone these 6 faculties, this is where our genius is. And we were all born with these 6 faculties. They've always been there, but we just have used them as we may rather than refining them. It's like math. You know, the philosophy of math is always the same. It always has existed, even before you learn to do addition or multiplication. The more you learned in addition, then multiplication, then exponents, etc., the more powerful you became in using the tool of mathematics. And it's the same with electricity. You know, electricity existed long before it was ever used. It always was there. It didn't just all of a sudden come into being when Edison created the light bulb. It's always been there. The laws have always been there. We didn't know them until we discovered them and learned how to use them. And it's just like electricity in our home. If I didn't know how to plug into the electricity, I couldn't run my computer or my cell phone and be here on this call with you today. And it's just like that with the 6 faculties. And the 6 faculties that we have that have always been there and that are our birthright, and as we develop them, become our genius, are imagination, intuition, will, the will, not willpower, but the will, memory. Memory is very interesting when we get to that place and point. Reason, and perception. So the first faculty that we're going to talk to is a very important faculty, and we have all used it, especially in our childhood, and that's imagination. You know, everything is created twice. The chair that I'm sitting in, the cell phone I'm talking on, the car you drive, everything was a thought first. Somebody dreamed it. Somebody dreamed the particular angle of the back of the chair. The new, OS 7, I guess, has come out on the iPhone. And wow, I just thought the change between the 6 and the 7, you know, somebody just got to sit down with their imagination and think of how things move through space in 3D. It's just become more alive in its animation. And somebody's job was just to sit and imagine that, how to create and excite the cell phone user, you know. And what has happened for us? So we had our imagination was very powerful and in use when we were a child. We dreamed of being a ballerina or a fireman or a veterinarian or, you know, all those things that we dream as a child, and we would enact them. We would dance like a ballerina. We would, my dream always was to be an artist, and I always imagined the great art that I would make, and I also would create art ever since I was a small child, and it was constant use of my imagination. my father said one time that he thought I'd be an engineer because I was always thinking of how to build things and to make things. You know, I would make tables and chairs and build things in the trees. I was just kind of a builder and always using my imagination, and we all did. So what happens? How come we don't know that that's one of our faculties that can really actually help us create the life that we would love to live? Once again, it's the status quo. You know, we're told to color inside the lines. We're told to sit down and listen. And, you know, of course, that's the structure that we live in. But how can we ignite and use our imagination to create a life that we would love to live? I have another program that I developed called The Creative Way, and I use this system that I'm in right now, this tried and true system that I've been taught through Life Mastery Institute. And in a matter of 3 months, I created this amazing program, 4-week program with images and all of the powerful tools. And I did it by every day asking my imagination, you know, what is the next step in creating this powerful tool that can transform the lives of others? And every day I could, if I allowed myself to be in my imagination, it was clear to see the next step to take. And so learning to develop our imagination is an incredibly powerful tool and your birthright to create the life that you'd love to live. The next gift is intuition. Intuition is maybe the most important of all. And what intuition is our connection. So there's 7 billion brains in the world, but there's only one mind. You know, it always reminds me, I'm kind of a Star Trek fan, and it always reminds me of the Borg, although it wasn't the most positive energy, but just the whole idea that we're all connected into one system. But the great thing is that this is that wonderful system that I imagined, the wonderful world that I imagined as a child. It's that there is a powerful good that is always moving upward and outward, and that is our natural way of being, is to be moving in the direction of expansion, just like the universe. You know, how the universe spirals out. That is our nature as well. And we have a connection to all that has ever been thought, all that ever will be thought, if we begin to hone and develop our intuition. And there are some really great ways of learning to develop your intuition. And that's something that we explore in the Into Your Genius program. But one of the important things in learning to develop your intuition, and I want to give you this tool today, is to really learn to sit and quiet your mind. You know, people talk about meditation and or prayer, and this is very important. Whatever your mode or modality is to be able to learn to sit and be centered and not allow your thoughts to have you, but to allow you to have your thoughts. And one of the things that I often send out in my monthly newsletters is another centering tool, another way to do that. And one of my favorites, and that I do almost daily, I like to change it up sometimes, but is actually a 5-minute candle meditation. And the 5-minute candle meditation, you can get a real candle. You can even use one of those flickering imitation candles. Or what I love is I use the internet. I use my cell phone, actually. So I have, no matter where it's at. I was just on a training cruise with my teacher mentor. It was called, Training on the Sea or something like that. And we just took a 5-day cruise and did our training while in the luxury of a cruise, and really kind of amazing. And so I have my cell phone with me all the time, and I can always access this on the internet. So if you go to YouTube and Google or put in the search box 5-minute candle meditation, several things come up, but there's a favorite of mine. It's got an orange candle in it. And the woman's voice is just really incredibly soothing. And the idea of the candle meditation is to work on bringing your thought back to that flame. And you can even say in your mind, candle flame, candle flame, candle flame. And practice being the one who determines what you're thinking. Candle flame, candle flame, candle flame. And then you allow things to float in, and you see that you're looking at the screen and there's a candle flickering on there, and you come back to candle flame, candle flame. And to practice building up, that's a muscle, actually, a muscle that allows us to turn off the chatter and then to be able to sit and let the intuition speak to us. Now, how do we tell if it's intuition or if it's a paradigm, for example? When we embark on changing our lives, say entering into a program such as Into Your Genius, often the paradigms will shout and bring up their disagreements, and they will kind of shake us back to our old reality. That's the job of the paradigm. And what we want to do is to be able to listen. And how we know it's our intuition rather than a paradigm is that if you sit still and you listen, it's as familiar as when you pick up the phone and you know the voice of the other person on the other side. And it's a gentle, caring voice, and it's always for the good of all and to the harm of no one. And so these are questions you can ask when you hear, is this for the good of all and to the harm of no one? Is this familiar to me? And then always check in your physical self. Does this resonate with me? Because our paradigms, I like to call them the boogeymen. You know, the boogeyman's kind to get us, to turn us back to our same life, because that's the life it knows, and it wants to keep you there. In the class, Into Your Genius, we'll be going through the 6 faculties, and we'll be going into depth into these faculties. But I want to share with you one of the faculties, which is memory. And yes, it's so powerful, even out in the business world, to learn to develop your memory. And memory is not a thing that you can lose. We know we're dealing with Alzheimer's and things like that and the elderly, but this is something that is a muscle. It's something that if you keep it strong, if you develop it, it gets stronger and stronger. And memory is great when you meet somebody and you remember their name, they feel really valued, or you remember something about them and they feel really valued. These are really great tools to have in business, and that's part of creating a life that you would love to live. But what's really fascinating, one of the things that we're going to explore in this class is called forward memory. The idea that if there is no time in existence, we can actually move into a future, as it's called future memory. We can move into a future memory. And this, we can actually create our future through exploring and the use of future memory. And I've learned some great tools that are really amazing in my life. Now, a lot of you have heard of vision boards, and I offer a workshop called Beyond the Vision Board. But the vision board, in a sense, is one of those kind of tools that help you move into future memory. And we actually use the 5 senses to develop our future memory. And so this is an absolutely amazing program. Now, you may hear a little construction going on in the background here. And that's part of my dream and my vision. I dreamed an amazing remodel in my house, and that's going on right now. And I just feel very blessed. I'm going to have a beautiful open kitchen with amazing cabinets and countertops, and including purple cabinets. This has always been my dream, to have my purple signature color be the integral part of my home. And so this is part of using the imagination, intuition, and future memory. So I hope this is transforming your life right now, and I look forward to having the opportunity to be more in service with you.